is moving. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So, today's learning objective. Today we will be getting into the hands-on. So, what we covered yesterday, quickly we will recap the foundation of S3 that we discussed, and the practical lab we will see hands-on. Right, we will be creating and right accessing these buckets and objects. We will see how to manage the permissions for our buckets, and then we will host a static website right from S3, right? We will deploy a serverless, right, a static website directly on our S3 bucket. So let's get into it. So quick recap, S3 is our simple storage service. It is an object storage and it offers high durability, right, security and performance. So durability is we discussed right 11 nines of durability. So it is a very high durability that it provides, right? Because it is actually storing our data across multiple devices and at least three or more availability zones. So the scalability is nearly unlimited capacity you get with your S3, right? And by default, right, your buckets are private and they have server-side encryption enabled by default, right, using your S3 managed keys. So unmatched durability again, right? 11 nines. So what is 11 nines of durability means, right? Here you see, if you store 10 million objects, right? So you can expect to lose a single object once every 10,000 years. It is 10,000 years, not 1,000 years. It is 10,000 years. So huge durability it provides, right? So your data gets replicated across three or more availability zone, right? So minimum three. So bucket versus object. Bucket, so we know it is the root container for the data that we are storing in S3. So those bucket names are globally unique, right? Naming the names what we choose, right, must be unique, right, across the users, right, of AWS associated with a specific region. Yes, so your buckets are regional, but can be accessed globally, right? So objects, again, objects are the fundamental data that we are actually storing. So consist of data, right, key and metadata. So these are data about the data, right? So it is stored in key value pairs, right? So where key say is the bucket name, right, along with the path of the bucket, and the value is the object itself, right, data. So the size we talked about, right, is 5 terabyte for most of the standard classes, and for Glacier, right, for archive for each object, right, it can be of 40 terabyte, right? That is the size limit on object. So let's practically see how we can create these buckets. So step by step are given right here. So first you need to log in, right? You need to get into S3. You need to click on create bucket, right? So enter DNS compatible name. Now this is what is your bucket name, right? That you need to choose. Now when it is saying that DNS compliant name, so there is a naming convention, right? You should use lowercase. You can use only hyphens in between. You cannot use underscore, or you cannot use any special character, right? So that is the prerequisite, because these names, right, the name that you're choosing for your bucket, right, will be used to access your objects, right, using the object URL. And the object URL is just like any say domain name, right, that you get, right? So definitely it will get resolved. So when you use the bucket name, it must be compliant to that naming convention for DNS or other domain names, right? So that there will be no issue in resolving the domain name to IP address. So selecting your preferred AWS region. So definitely as AWS S3 buckets are regional, so you need to select whatever region where you want to deploy your bucket. Now, as by default, AWS will never move your data across regions, right? So it will replicate it within the region. right? So that is what AWS do. So critical bucket setting, right? So by default, right, the block public access is enabled, right? So this is making right your bucket private, right? Essential for preventing right accidental data exposure right to the internet. So that is why by default your object private. Bucket versioning keeps multiple variants right of an object right in the same bucket. So great for recovery from overwrites. So definitely if you write mistakenly, if you are say deleting your file or overwriting your file, still you will have your right previous version because of versioning. Right, so this will protect your files, your data, right, from accidental deletion and overwrites. Then the encryption. So by default, the server-side encryption, that is SSE S3 is enabled, right? And optionally, you can also right go for server-side encryption with KMS managed keys, right? So it ensures your data right is encrypted at rest automatically, right? So whenever you access your data, it will be through HTTPS, right? So when it is in flight, it will always be protected. And by default, right, the encryption is enabled. So this is again, right? Earlier it was not the case, right? Because a lot of data breaches, right, due to misconfiguration of buckets, right? So what they did is they enabled the encryption by default.
So
Then,
it was the
yes,
version bucket version that you were discussing yesterday that when we delete data we can get it back. It will be marked as versions, all right?
yes, correct, correct,
Oh, okay, okay,
correct.
okay, good.
Yes. So then once you create your bucket, we need to upload right the objects. Now to upload object, we can use again management console. We can use CLI. We can use SDK, right? So currently we will be using console, right? And later on in advanced right topics, we will be getting into CLI, right? And when you are doing it through program, right? When you are interacting through programming languages, right? So at that time you use SDK, right? Software development kit. So simply you need to click on upload and you can also drag and drop your files right in directly inside right your bucket. So that will upload your object in your bucket. Then downloading the right to retrieve your data, right? You have the download option. You need to select the object and you need to click on download right tab to directly download it, right? Now again, this will be available right for your standard classes, right? And for your Glacier instant retrieval, but it will you will not find download button directly for your flexible retrieval or deep archive. Right, when you are storing your data in S3, flexible retrieval and deep archive, you will not find this download button. Right, that will be grayed out because you don't have instant access right to your data. So first you need to restore and then you need to download after the restore, right? So use open right to view in a browser itself. So right the owner can click on the open tab. Again, this open tab will be available for all the standard classes, right? And infrequent classes and for your Glacier instant retrieval, but not for flexible retrieval and right deep archive, right? So pro tip, this is useful again. So use pre-signed URLs, right, to share private objects, right, for a limited time, right, without changing the permission. So definitely to right make your say data available or make it public, right, publicly accessible, you need to change the file permission. You need to make it right public, and you need to attach right bucket policy, right? But if you want to share right your say object privately, right, for limited time, you can do that without changing file permissions using pre-signed URL, right? So quickly again, story classes, right, that we discussed yesterday as the standard for right frequent access. So when you are using right accessing your objects, right, say more than once in a month, right? Standard IA, you can go for right if you are accessing your data once a month. Glaciers, you can go for right if you are accessing your data in a quarter, right? And Glacier Deep Archive if you are accessing your data once a year, right? So this is generally right. Based on such use cases, you can go for right the class. So because with that, right, the cost will come down, right, as you move to your archive, right, storage. So static website hosting. So why use this S3 for hosting? So definitely it is serverless. You don't need to manage right the server, right? Just like say if you're not like unlike right your EC2. So definitely if you are hosting your website right on EC2, you need to manage that server, right? You need to patch it, update that operating system and everything, right? You need to configure all those networking and everything, right? Here you don't have to manage the server, the operating system, right? It will be managed by the service provider, right? So what we need to do is we need to just upload right our static content, right? The web page data, right? That's it, right? And once we need to just configure it, right, to host website. So low cost definitely pay only for storage, right, and request, and performance is high, right? So highly available as right, and the global reach, right, is there because it can be accessed right globally. So you have right 99.99 right availability for your standard, right, as the standard. So it is highly available, right? And definitely right you just need to pay for the storage you are using and number of requests. So enabling right the feature how right we enable static website hosting. So here step by step, right, first you need to disable block all public access that is enabled by default, right? And we need to write in bucket policy, we need to allow get object for everyone, right? So we need to allow get object for everyone to allow right public access. Then in properties, we need to enable the static website hosting, right? Yeah. And then in configuration again, right, we need to enable this feature at specific for index.html, right, as the index document. So that is the default, right, landing page, right, or we can say, right, the home page where that we right access when we click on any URL or say the domain name, right? So that will be the
Okay.
landing page, right?
Oh, okay.
Right.
So that's for mostly for index storage.
Not index storage. It is the actually the HTML page, right? The structure
Okay.
of your website, right?
Oh, okay, for
So
the website.
what?
Okay, okay, yes, true. Okay.
Yes, yes, it is HTML file, right?
So what about if we did not enable it? It's gonna be issue.
Yes, yes, because it will not recognize, right, that this is the file that it needs to
Oh,
read. Yes. So we
okay,
must enable that. Yeah, we
okay.
need to specify. Yeah,
Then it's supposed to be
index.html.
enabled by default then.
But yeah, your static website, you can have other names also, right, for the file, right? So this is very common. The name that we use index.html, but you can also have right any other say name, right? Say about.html, home.html. So at that
Oh,
time you need to specify that particular name, right?
okay, I
So
see.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So here, then very important, right? You need to also write this bucket policy, right? You need to enable bucket policy, and bucket policies are in JSON format, right? So this is what we need to do, and what is that we have already seen, right? You need to allow right this bucket policy, right? And the action you should allow is get object for everyone. So that is what we see here. Effect is allow, and the principal is star, right? Principal is star means everybody, right? We are allowing everybody, and that means a public access, right? And action here is S3 get object, right? Get object will let them view that and download it right on the website, right? And here is the resource, right, for which we are actually allowing, right? So what we need to do is when we are right hosting static website, so we need to allow complete bucket access, right? We need to allow the bucket access. So here we are doing it like this. Here you need to replace this with your bucket name, right? Okay, so accessing your site, right? So once you have done right all those configurations, you can use the endpoint that is given by right S3 directly. So and then you can right upload your HTML file, CSS, JS, right, JavaScript. So these are the right static content we discussed yesterday also, right? So it will support these contents. So visit, right, the endpoint using your browser, and your site is live, right? So this is how you access your static website content.